Welcome to The Explainer. So for all of you focused learners out there who are really looking to optimize your time and just get a better grasp on the mechanics of your own mind, you are absolutely in the right place today. We're going to be diving into the source material on a super universal and honestly maddening human frustration. I'm talking about the psychology of people who overthink right before going to sleep at night. I mean, we all know the feeling, right? Your body feels like lead, your eyes are stinging, you are literally desperate for rest. But the very second your head actually hits that pillow, boom, your brain just powers up like a supercomputer. So why does this happen to us? Well, let's break down the science of the nocturnal mind, figure out the structure of this whole phenomenon, and see exactly what is going on behind our closed eyes. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the 2 a.m. racing mind, why we can't sleep.
Let's actually track how this unfolds in real time, because this timeline perfectly captures the sheer irony of the bedtime experience. So, at 10 p.m., you're completely exhausted. You're yawning on the couch, maybe barely keeping your eyes open watching TV. 11 p.m. hits, and it's lights out. You're all prepped and ready for a glorious 8 hours of restorative sleep. But then, 12:30 a.m. rolls around, and out of nowhere, you find yourself wide awake, mentally planning a highly detailed, completely hypothetical argument with someone you haven't even spoken to in 5 years. And by 2 a.m., well, you've spiraled into deep existential dread about all your life choices. It's kind of comical, honestly, just how fast absolute physical exhaustion morphs into complete mental chaos.
And the thoughts themselves? Yeah, they are usually entirely irrational. Like, why did I say you too to the waiter who told me to enjoy my meal back in 2014? I mean, we've all been there. It's absurd. But while these late-night, super cringy memories feel highly personal and incredibly frustrating in the moment, they're actually symptoms of a very specific, objective, biological, and psychological process. Seriously, your brain isn't broken. It's just operating under a totally different set of rules right now. So let's pivot and look at the objective science behind this dramatic mental shift. Section 2, day brain versus night brain, and the environmental shifts that trigger them.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what's going on. See, during the day, your brain is just constantly stimulated. Your underlying anxieties, those passing thoughts, the minor daily stresses, they're constantly being masked by external distractions. I mean, you've got work, smartphone notifications, conversations, podcasts, traffic, all keeping your processing power fully occupied. But at night, when you finally turn off the lights and lie perfectly still, all of that external stimulation vanishes instantly. And in that void, silence acts as a psychological amplifier. Without the loud noise of the day to distract you, your internal monologue suddenly gets a massive megaphone. Moving on to Section 3, the overthinker psychological profile. Let's look at the psychological mechanics at play here.
Now, what's really interesting here is this specific definition. Rumination is defined clinically as continually and repetitively thinking about the exact same dark, anxious, or frustrating thoughts. It's basically a closed psychological loop. Think of it like this. Unlike constructive problem solving, which actively moves you forward toward an actionable solution, rumination just keeps you stuck on a mental treadmill. You're expending an enormous amount of energy, but you're literally going nowhere. It completely hijacks your brain's attempt to power down and rest, effectively turning the quiet, peaceful environment of your bedroom into an intense echo chamber for your worries. And right alongside rumination, we have intrusive thoughts. These are those sudden, unwanted, and completely involuntary thoughts or images. You know the feeling, right? Have you ever been right on that cozy, heavy edge of sleep, and suddenly your brain just shouts, "Wait, did I leave the stove on? Or did I reply to that urgent email?" Yeah, that's an intrusive thought. They basically act like an internal alarm bell. They jolt your nervous system, spiking your adrenaline just enough to yank you right back out of relaxation and throw you into a state of high alert wakefulness. So the crucial point is, why do these specific mechanisms activate primarily at night? Well, the root causes of bedtime overthinking really come down to a lack of daytime processing, unresolved background anxiety, certain innate psychological traits, and honestly, a brain that is quite literally seeking stimulation because it's bored. Think about it. If you spend your entire busy day avoiding emotional processing, just pushing down stress and ignoring anxieties to get through your to-do list, you are basically forcing your brain to do all the heavy psychological lifting at night. When the daily distractions finally stop, your brain goes, "Excellent, we finally have the time to review all these unresolved files." Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, making peace with your mind. Let's talk about reframing the bedtime experience. Let's revisit the core focus we drew from our source material, the psychology of people who overthink before going to sleep at night. The absolute key here is that word psychology. What you go through at 2 a.m. as a documented, predictable, and totally objective phenomenon. It's a shared human experience. It's not a personal failing or some sign that you are uniquely broken. And honestly, recognizing these patterns for exactly what they are is the very first step to detaching from the anxiety they cause. The second you realize, oh, this is just a biological process running its course, it loses a massive amount of its power over you.
Your nighttime brain isn't attacking you. It is simply trying to process. That racing mind you experience is a completely natural, entirely logical response to the sudden introduction of silence and a severe lack of daytime mental processing. Your brain is just this highly efficient machine trying to catch up on the administrative work that you didn't give it the time or space to do during the day. By understanding this, you can start carving out, say, just a little time for quiet reflection or journaling before you actually get into bed. You can preemptively clear that mental cue before your head ever hits the pillow.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought to reflect on as we wrap up this explainer. Are you afraid of the dark, or are you just afraid of your own thoughts? Take a moment today to really think about your own psychological habits. Are you avoiding quiet moments during your day, only to end up paying the price for it at night? The next time you find yourself staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., remember the structures we've outlined today. Recognize the mechanics at play. Step off that treadmill of rumination and give your mind the understanding and the permission it needs to finally power down.